Hello and welcome to the second interview in the series, Nutrition is the Gateway to Your Optimal Self. And today I am hugely honoured to be speaking with Sue Hay at Thrive Magazine, a magazine that I've been involved in and been very curious about for a number of months and probably years now, all about wellness and nutrition and sort of stepping into that, the optimum self. So I'll hand over to Sue to say a little bit of hello and add anything you want to.
Okay, hi Joe. Thanks first off for having me on. I'm really excited about this little series of interviews, and I'm definitely going to tune into all of them. Just a little. Do you just want a quick little background on myself before we kind of?
Yeah, that'd be useful. Yeah. Let's go for it.
Okay, so where I am right now, I run a health, wellness and nutrition magazine called Thrive. Alongside that, I work with really healthy, ethical brands, and I champion them really because it's been part of my journey of finding out these companies that have a true passion behind what they make. And I think by helping them get them out into the marketplace, into the world, that'll change other people's health. So, so it's a kind of broad brush, but that's where I am right now.
Yeah, and it's all about the ripple effect. You make these small changes. You offer these opportunities for people to work with you and create that platform as such. And I love the word platform because that's kind of what I am trying to do here in my little, I think, introduction video to this whole series. It's about creating a platform and a voice, and you're doing that in your own way, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, when I started the magazine, I mean, it comes off the back of my own journey with food and a long 9-year journey now really of where I started, where I kind of was along a route and I took a real detour off, let's put it that way. And when I started it, my huge passion behind it was, after finding out all the information that I had absorbed about health and nutrition on our food industry, was purely to share it with other people. And it was such it was a knot in my stomach. I didn't really have that choice. I had to share that information. And I think you're right, Joe, that even though at the time I was kind of wanting to share it with masses of people, over a period of time I realized that even if I shared that with one person, I could then see the knock-on effect and the ripple effect. And that was fine. That was enough. It was going out there and people were learning off the back of what I had learned. And that was the intention behind the magazine itself, you know? And that continues. And I love seeing it continue. I just love it when you see somebody else even stopping and questioning something they've done continuously all their life and not even ask themselves why they do it. And you just put one interview in front of them or one book and it changes their perspective, and it's brilliant. It's all about the learning, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a question. I mean, very much from that's one of my big passions. It's just getting people to question things. Or I mean, I've got a little like a bracelet thing I wear around my ankle, and it just says "always be curious," and it's a reminder to myself to always be curious about everything in life. About that involves the questioning aspect, but it's just everything you do, get curious about it.
Yeah.
And your life changes, when you become curious and your kind of mind opens up. We'll get into the questions because so much of this is involved in the kind of, the questions. I mean, they're sort of loose questions anyway, but just coming back to kind of the title of the series in terms of nutrition is the gateway. There are many ways into sort of creating your optimum self, but my journey, my experience and sort of my passion, my inlet as such is through nutrition.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the focus. And so, when I say, that phrase, nutrition is the gateway to your optimum self, what initially comes to mind for you? Where, what you drawn to?
I hugely relate to it, first off. And it's an interesting journey, mine, because when I look back, it did come through the nutrition. I mean, I hit rock bottom, as many people do, before they make the change. I was caught up in the whole corporate rat race, eating on the fly, didn't even question what I was putting into my body at the time. And then I think my body just basically said, that's it, there's got to be a change. So nutrition was a starting point for me, but alongside that ran another route, and that was the information I was absorbing. And I really think when you say nutrition is a gateway to the soul, it's so true, because you start along this journey of looking at what you're eating, but then your mind expands and your mind opens up. And then you question what you're absorbing information-wise, or who you're spending time with, what you're reading. Then you kind of question that voice that comes in your own mind, that you've always kind of listened to. You find the kind of power to question that. And you say, hang on a second, there's a dialogue, isn't there, that goes on with that inner you. And that changes as your nutrition gets better as well. So, I mean, the learning curve from learning what nutrition functionally can do for your cells is a starting point for me, but also the information learning as well. So to say there is a gateway to the soul, because it opens up your mind. I mean, what you're feeding your cells in your brain on a cellular level is key, because then that allows you the energy to do more things, to learn more things. A gateway to the soul, I guess so, Joe. Yeah, it kind of opens up that avenue to your soul, doesn't it? And I think it helps you investigate a little bit more into your own soul.
Yeah. It's interesting where you mentioned the dialogue, because that's so true, and I quite like the way you kind of reflected on that there, because there is always this dialogue, but actually for many of us, and I know it was for me, and I talk to say many of us because I kind of know there's a lot of people out there, it's so unbalanced. There is a dialogue going on, but the kind of your inner self is so squashed. And what's in your head, what society, all this stuff just dictates what's going on. We don't even listen to that little voice because it's so small and it hasn't got any space. And as soon as we begin to clean up our body through nutrition or whatever angle it's coming, that expands, and it's like, whoa, hang on a minute, there's this other voice that we can actually listen to and kind of go with, that actually speaks a lot of truth, and that's quite scary and quite overwhelming as well.
It is, and a lot of it, is because of the information we're fed from the media and what's around us. And I always say to people who I'm working with, on a nutritional basis, don't listen to any of that information. Don't absorb it on social media. Don't listen to it until you can listen to your own body. Because as soon as you can listen to your own body, you've got the questioning capability to question what you're reading.
Very true.
But, I say that off the cuff, Joe. At the beginning, it's very hard to listen to your own body, isn't it?
It
is. And a lot of people are in a position where they've just created that habitual routine of eating, so they've quashed that voice that you say is little anyway down to a pinpoint. They can't hear it. It's so muted, they can't hear it. So it is about allowing that voice to speak. And I think as soon as that, even though that kind of inner dialogue, it can be an absolute sod at times, deep down it has your real good intention at heart, part of you, isn't it? So listening is the first step to changing, without doubt.
And I think as well, it's that embracing of that sometimes it does feel more difficult before you come, you do go through that, like the mire of this turmoil, because suddenly there's this whole other, I was going to say whole other world, but a whole other side of you that you didn't know existed, and a whole other experience of life, of yourself that for decades potentially wasn't really there. And it's like you're just stirring the pot, and stuff does come up, and it's just working through that. And I guess that's kind of my passion as a coach is supporting people through that the overwhelming period until you kind of come out the other side and you kind of know yourself a bit. It's always a journey, but you get to a point where you have that confidence in knowing yourself, and that overrides the what was for many decades, years, whatever. Voice. The balance almost switches.
Yeah, definitely. And do you know what, you hit something on the head there. The fact of having that kind of support, is key.
Mm.
Because when I was going through that kind of questioning what I was eating, but also how the world looked, you know, how the world had been presented to me from point of education all the way up to that point of a turning point, really. It can be quite a hard change, you know, it can. When you start questioning everything you've been told, you kind of like become a bit wobbly, you know, you're a bit off kilter, and you're kind of like, wow, I actually took all this for truth, for granted.
And most people around you are still taking all that. And so it's like you feel yourself sort of pulling away, but you know, so unless you surround yourself by other people, other, you know, you get pulled back, and it's, you know, it's crazy hard at times.
It is, and I love the analogy of the stirring pot, because that's so true. It's like the ingredients bubbling up to the surface. You put it back down. You're like, I don't want to see that right now. But you know, as soon as I think that people, or you're on that journey, you're on the right path anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, totally. It's funny because I'll just sort of glancing over at little bits of questions, and obviously, you know, we're covering so much as we're talking anyway, but the word wellness is a funny one because it's such huge, it covers so much, it's very overused in a lot of contexts, people have different interpretations of it, but how do you identify with wellness? And in terms of your passions in the magazine, and you know, it focuses on wellness as I do, but it's just interesting to know what your understanding of that is.
It's such a broad brush, isn't it, the word now? And it's almost one of those words that's been so overused. When you say it to people, it almost has no meaning now, because it's so vague. And the key point, I think, within it is wellness is different for all of us. So one interpretation of wellness is completely different to somebody else's. As the terminology, I think kind of our industry in like health, nutrition, maybe having its own inner battles at the moment, you know, because I think you've got the kind of scientific, hard nutritional avenue, you know, the dietitian avenue, and phenomenally brilliant, you know, I would never knock it. But that is kind of, I see, meeting the kind of mind avenue at the moment. And I don't think the term wellness works for these guys from the science side less than it does from the mind side, but I think it's too broad a brush overall. I think if you know, as a terminology and where nutrition and kind of health and that is going, I think we're going to see a lot more narrow down personalized nutrition, because I really think that we're realizing how different on a genetic level our bodies are. And treating one person with one set of dietitian or nutritional requirements doesn't work for somebody else. It's so niche. So as a word, I don't have any word. I wish I did. I really wish I did, and I can't wait to see if, you know, somebody comes up with something that encompasses it all. I don't have any kind of personal recoils from the word wellness. I know some people do. Some people see it as too holistic or too spiritual. I'm fine with the word wellness, and I don't think I'd put any emotion on it, you know. It's just a word, you know, it's how you feel. If you feel well is more important than how you describe it. So yeah, but it's a very good question, because I think it's a term that means different things to a lot of people.
And you began to sort of talk about sort of the future for the word wellness, and the sort of the future for where things might be heading. So let's just take a kind of a moment to almost reflect back and forth in terms of, you know, where do you think you would have been if your life hadn't taken this sort of shift? And also, you know, what do you want for the future of nutrition, the future of this path?
Wow. The first question, I'm glad to say that I don't think about that too much, where I would have gone. I don't tend to think back that much in any respect. Where do I think it would have gone? I'd have got more numb, you know, I would have got more absorbed and more ill. You know, my body reacted at a point where I think I had loaded so much rubbish into it. And I think when you're younger, it's interesting if you look at the teenage generation now. When you're younger, obviously your body's more resilient, so it can put up with the stuff you're putting in. But I think over that time, when you get to your 20s, your 30s, you see the reaction of that. And I think that would have continued, Joe, down the line for me. I like to think that at some point I would have met somebody or read something that would have put that bulb on in my mind. But unfortunately, like we said, you know, like as human beings, we get absorbed into habits. And it's only until we hit a real rock bottom that we start that question in line. So, you know, I'm sure I would have hit that rock bottom at some time if I'd have continued. But I'm glad I hit it where I hit it. And I think if I'd hit it earlier, maybe in my teens, I wouldn't have been ready for it.
Yeah, that's
you
interesting.
know, I really don't think I would have. And especially the kind of like the information and the spiritual side of things, I'd have backed off from that.
I can agree with that. I can totally resonate with that. I sort of, I mean, most people watching this won't know, I had a sort of previous career as an architect. That's what I did at uni. I did 8 years in architecture and came out of that realizing this is not my calling in life, and totally flipped on my head and just kind of went into wellness coaching and setting up a food business, and a totally different direction, which was so much more me. And a lot of people say, oh, do you regret, you know, wasting this? No, not at all, because you know, when I was 30, I wouldn't have been in that point in my life when I was 20, you know, 9 years ago. I wouldn't have gone in this direction because I wouldn't have been there. It wouldn't have. And it's just interesting because things just happen when they're supposed to, you know. Even if you don't sort of get into the, you know, the kind of hit your kind of wellness or whatever until you say 50, well, it probably was never going to happen when you were 30 or 20 or, you know, whatever. So it's, you know, things happen when they're supposed to.
Definitely.
It's a spiritual thing, you know. It's that kind of just acknowledging and just going with the flow, rather than trying to resist something that you can't change anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Don't try and fight it, you know, go with it and think there it is.
Yeah. In terms of the future of where do you want to see things going?
So the future of kind of the industry and nutrition, like I said, I really think that we're going to go down. Excuse my cat a sec. He's going to say hello. I really think that it's going to go down the personalised route a lot more. I think that more and more people are going to start listening to their bodies. I really, truly hope that's true. I think that main industry is waking up to the fact that they're not so much in control anymore. People are questioning more. Especially if you look at some of the mainstream programs we're seeing on TV, even though they're presented, you know, in the same mainstream media way, it's putting that question in people's mind. So I would really like to see, I mean, ideal scenario, we're all in control of our nutrition. Food itself is grown in an organic, nutritious way that can support the population of this planet. You know, it's big and it's growing bigger, so we're going to have to get real intelligence, you know. But I mean, you look at the kind of urban growing industry and hydroponics, where they're growing plant-based foods without soil. You know, there are ways we can do this for the population we've got. So, and I have huge faith in human intelligence. You know, we can be a dumb bunch sometimes. But we're massively intelligent, and this is our planet. This is our planet with enough resource to take care of all of us. So I think the more that we listen to ourselves and the more we connect together, the easier this is going to become. It's the connection and the collaboration that makes the change quicker.
The faster it'll happen as well. You know, if there isn't that resistance and trying to work against, if we actually just think, you know what, we're all actually heading in the same direction. It benefits everybody in the same. It will happen so much quicker and more, I was going to say flowingly, but that's something, you know. But it will.
Well, it'll be more ease, you know, because we're not fighting each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'd like to see, you know, an open, transparent food system that uses the intelligence of the human race to supply food to the entire planet that is nutritious.
Love that. That's a beautiful summary.
But it's not, it shouldn't be that difficult, should it?
No. No,
It shouldn't. But we're up against that. I know there's some powerful barriers in the way to that.
Yeah.
But I have no doubt in my mind we'll get there.
Yeah.
At all.
I love this kind of positive stuff. I was thinking we're just kind of coming towards wrapping up now. It's such a great kind of like, yeah, we'll do it. It's a really empowering kind of, view of things, which is great. It's really lovely.
Well, talking about the mind, the power of the mind, and I 100% believe thoughts become things.
Yeah.
100%. And if we're all thinking along that lines, that exponentially creates it quicker anyway. So in my mind, so what, I've had my negative time, Jo, I've had self-questioning, there's a job to be done now.
Yeah.
Let's just get on with it. And I really think that, talking about the industry of like health and wellness and nutrition, I feel humble being involved in it because it is a positive industry. And I truly think there are people mainly out to create change and help people get on their journey. So it's a great place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. I love it. Final question, and obviously anything else you kind of want to bring in that I might have not covered, but if there were 3 top tips you'd give to someone looking to sort of step into their optimal life, what they be, or what, just one kind of thing, 1 to 3 things.
Wow. Okay. It's probably going to come down to the questioning again. Look at what you eat, look who you spend your time with, and look at what you absorb, because that affects your mind and your body. And I read a quote very early on in my kind of journey with food and with Thrive magazine and where I was going. And it was, the power you have as a consumer is knowing exactly what you consume. But as soon as you know or question, the power's in your hands. You've got the power to change, and you can change that in any instance, in any meal. In one meal in front of you, you've got the power to think, I don't want to eat that, I'm going to eat something else.
Yeah. And
as long as you remember that the choice is yours and the power is yours.
Yeah.
It's your choice where you go.
That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's be aware of how powerful you are and how you can instigate change in others. Be really aware of that on a positive and a negative, day to day. Yeah,
totally. Love it. So anything else you want to kind of add in terms of wrapping this up? I mean, that's a beautiful kind of summary in my eyes, but is there anything else you kind of want to?
No, I don't think so. I just find, I just look forward to meeting up with more people who are on, a journey to wherever they are, because that's what fascinates me these days.
This is why I'm so excited to do this kind of series, because obviously I meet people in day-to-day life, I meet people through my blog and or social media, but just having these kind of face-to-face discussions where we can just, begin to pick apart a little bit these, these fundamental questions, and then obviously have a range of people all sort of feeding back their own thoughts on that kind of concept. It's great. It's really interesting to me. So fab. So if people wanted to connect with you anymore, or sort of, or find you in your kind of your sort of home place, where can they do that? What's the best place?
Yeah, they can find me on the website, so it's thrive-magazine.co.uk, or on Facebook and Twitter at Thrive Feel Alive.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'll add the details to the in the video anyway. So
brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. I'm sitting here smiling away.
No, thank you, Jo. It's been lovely to speak to you.
Awesome. Cool. Right, more videos coming up soon. So yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jo. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.